right. So as we were discussing the Hearst Conference Center, that's location for the Region 3 PDC. Make sure you check it out, register for it. And let's see here. We also need speakers for our PDC, which is the beginning of April of next year. So if you're interested in becoming a speaker, by all means, give us a shout and we'll put you on the list. And I believe we'll be sending some info out. So be looking out for that so you can put your application in to become a speaker. Yes, ma'am. So that's a very good point. Thank you. So we are actually going to join forces with the Fort Worth chapter, and we're actually going to have it in Hearst, right? So it's like I said, we learn about Hearst thanks to Fort Worth, and that's because of the PDC as well. So it's going to be a lot, what I would say, larger, and I would say by joining forces, you know, two heads are better than one. Not only from the planning stage, but also better speakers and be able to join forces there since we're right next door to each other. So thank you for bringing that up. The other thing is we need your help. We have a couple of things that we need. We need a secretary. And let me look up real quick what else we need. And thank you to Abby with this. So we also need a PDC chair. So, you know, of course, we need to make sure that you're a professional member. If you are, we need your help. Actually, we need all the help we can get, to be honest with you. I think Greg was saying that he had some responsibilities in Kenya. So, Greg, you and I need to chat after this. Absolutely. So appreciate that help there. So anybody else that would like to help us out, by all means, reach out and make sure that. Okay, good. There's also a questionnaire that we had sent out. It won't take but 5 minutes. Take a look at that, click on that link, and make sure that you fill it out for us. It'll really help us out. Sure. So next up, of course, is our presenter. I want to personally thank Jamie for, you know, doing this for us. Also, there are a lot of unknowns out there from our standpoint, from our world, and so hopefully this will give us a lot of information to help us in the future. Thank you, Jamie.
Yeah, sure. Glad to be here. Do I need your fancy mic you got on your neck?
You need this.
I use that one.
Yeah, that one's right.
All right.
Yeah,
That was a bolo tie.
just to get it close to your voice, folks.
Right there? Good enough? All right. Hello, I'm Jamie. Glad to be here. This should be interesting. So my presentation is about harnessing the power of AI to drive optimal safety practices in construction. Well, kind of. So I had to do this for a construction safety conference a few months back. And so the company I work for, we're only about half construction. So everything I'm talking about in here, we've done inside our facilities maintenance teams and really what we call building services, on-demand truck-based service. So a little bit just about me. So I've been at TD Industries for a little over 16 years. I have a bachelor's in occupational safety and health from Southeastern Oklahoma State. I kind of fell into construction. I had started manufacturing in Oklahoma City, kind of bounced around, didn't love VHS, jumped into retail, and then ended up working for a big general contractor named McCarthy Building Companies here, which brought me to Dallas ultimately. Even when I was there, I didn't love VHS. And so whenever I came over to TD, I really found my home. I actually was going to leave the safety and health field about the time I found TD Industries. So really found this great company. It's a servant leader company. I've really had a great time there. Really enjoyed it. Love speaking on this topic. At TD, we've really been, so we're just give you a little bit about us. We're a mechanical subcontractor. So we've done a lot of work on this campus. We've done some of the high rises just right around here. We do stadiums, healthcare, hospitality, you name it. Data centers kind of our bread and butter right now as well, but we're about 3,000 people. We're primarily located in Texas, but we do have offices in Colorado and in Arizona as well. We have a pretty big footprint in Arizona. So got started in 1946, employee-owned company. There's a gentleman that lived here in Dallas named Jack Lowe, basically $1,100 from a loan from his aunt and a van. That's how he started this company. So it's been an awesome place to be. I really love it. And I'll kind of talk about our experience over the last 5 years. And so I kind of start out with what really got us on this journey of safety engagement and looking at these AI processes and where we've evolved over the last several years. And it really goes back to our safety vision, our safety core values. So I started in 2008, and we were really kind of disjointed as a company. We operated in these different geos, almost like different companies. And then our business units were so independently separate from each other. Well, as we started maturing as a company, especially with like our center of excellence processes and our departments for support, our safety team had some early on success, really from 2008 to like 2014. And so they really used us for the model. We're the first center of excellence to show the company how we can actually start joining our business units for kind of one mission. So it starts with a zero harm safety vision. So we have a core value. It's fiercely protect the safety of all partners. And so that's fine and well, but really what did that mean? So we looked at building kind of a 10-year vision. That zero harm safety vision was about first focusing our activities on life's critical processes, and that zero harm really to TD, it resonates as performing work that results in zero serious injuries and fatalities. All right, so kind of give you a little foundation of us. We have a core value, we have a safety vision. So some key takeaways about what I'm going to talk about in this presentation. One is just our safety engagement journey, what that meant, how many years it's been for us, what kind of successes we've seen in there, how we implemented, how we sustained. Talk a little bit about video-based pre-test safety planning. I'll talk about safety observations at TD, which is it's something that's kind of evolved over time. We've done some form of safety observations really since 2010 and 16. We got really good at it and really adjusted it twice since. I'll talk about feedback results. I'll talk about AI implementation throughout, and then really what's next for us in the safety department. Why should you care? Well, we're going to talk about EHS performance improvements. It's really something that's not just specific to construction or specific to any one type of company. The things I'll talk about today really can be implemented for any type of workforce. We'll talk about time and cost savings, really how our whole team at TD elevated just kind of how we show up as business leaders. Talk about new KPIs that we use. We'll talk about just engagement acceleration, what safety engagement acceleration really meant for us in our improvement efforts. So safety engagement processes, I like this photo because you think through like as a safety professional or even like some type of field leader or operational leader, we have all kinds of compliance processes that are dragging us in a bunch of different directions. And this is kind of the picture that comes to mind when I think through just how do we be safety or even manage safety compliance or OSHA compliance on a job site, just at even small scale. There's so many things to do that are pulling us in so many different directions. We really need tools and processes that are defined to help us be good. And so we looked at, okay, this is around 2019. We're starting to look at, all right, we've only been capturing safety observations for several years. We were capturing about 12,000 electronic processes per year total. And we knew we were going to add some software to be able to capture more. And so kind of on paper, we start looking at, well, we think we do about 400,000 pre-test safety plans per year. We think we do about 90,000 safety observations. We think we do about 50,000 work permits. And so we start thinking through, all right, how do we really scale all these processes and how do we not overwhelm the field as we implement these safety tools? And so we started with 4 foundational safety processes. When I've talked to a bunch of different users of this software, other companies that use the same software we use. And I talked early in the implementation phase. And I always talk through, really start with like 4 things or 3 things or 2 things that you want to go be really good at first, that way you're not overwhelming the organization. And so, like I'd mentioned, we did about 400,000 pre-test safety plans. And that was kind of that daily planning tool. It's how you help your crews work safe. It's how our technicians do solo work by themselves safe. All right, so we're like, okay, that's kind of first line defense. we go up a level. The reason why we pick these 4 work permits is the next level. It fits our SIF prevention model. This is about how we perform those life critical processes with high reliability. Safety inspections, that was really where we want to focus on, like daily competent person inspections, field leader inspections, equipment inspections, things that were going to support that safety vision. And then our safety observation process, like I had mentioned earlier, we were capturing about 12,000 per year. We've grown that to nearly 90,000 per year. The reason this is important that we're capturing these processes electronically to us is that we want to define and measure safety through a DMAIC process where we can define, measure, analyze, implement, control those activities. And so that's why it's been very important to us. We found throughout the years, if we can't measure it, we can't improve it. So this number, when I did this presentation a few months ago, this is since 2020, we've done over 691,000 safety processes that we've captured electronically. We've had scoring around, we've had quality metrics around. Now, if you pull this today, this is closer to 750,000. And I'll talk a little bit about what we've learned from that data. So I'll start with pre-test safety planning. So I'll just kind of ask the room, does anybody in this room do daily plans or any type of task hazard analysis with your crews? All right, so not you guys, y'all can't answer. Ridiculous. I think you get them out of here. So are they useful? Okay, what's useful about it? Okay.
Just a reminder of the key things to watch out.
Okay. Is there anybody back here?
Can't tell you how many examples we've got where we didn't identify a hazard before we were about to start the task. We stop and hey, we call it a track. Do your track card, guys. And like, oh yeah, but we didn't think about hot work on the other side of this wall. We could burn this foam on the person.
Sure. So
do
you have other examples of what good looks like for that?
What good looks like?
Mm-hmm.
Well, for us, good, it doesn't matter what we're finding, what we're not finding. Good for us is we've got the right people thinking through the steps of this task about what could go wrong, what we're doing to make things go right. So regardless of what controls are actually implemented or not, what the need is, good is the people thinking about it before just diving in and going willy-nilly on something.
Okay. What about you? What does good look like?
The good is, the one thing that I'll tell you the bad first, a lot of stuff like the 360,
Sure.
It's stuff that's not tangible.
Sure.
We're trying to coach our folks is, what is it that is tangible? What can get you hurt out?
Okay.
So we're going through a process to where we're relearning how to write these things.
Okay.
It just became a pencil whipping operation. So
yeah, so even with us spending years improving, we've improved quite a ways. And actually we've had inside of our quality metrics, we made a large jump in the quality scoring around our daily planning conversations. But what we find is it still tends to be, especially if you just leave it unsupervised or unmonitored for long periods of time, it becomes a little bit of a pencil whip operation at times. It can become kind of a performance where that 360 mindset, more generic, where your PPE, it's almost like a wasted activity. And so we were looking at this early on. And so when I think through that foundational piece and the pre-test safety plans, as a company, we knew we did $1.75 million of time per year. Daily, pre-test safety plans plus daily planning conversations. And so we decided that was something we wanted to tackle. And if we're going to spend that kind of money investing that time, we want to be better at it. So we've all probably seen examples like this where somebody stuck a $20 bill on the front of a PTSP and asked people to read it. We've seen stuff that's filled on paper and just through. We've seen individuals just reading through the motions, or maybe even people using the same plan they had the day prior, post-dating them. I found everything in my career from a job actually pretty close to here where there's a PTSP just stuck to a wall and the guys were signing as they walked in every day. I found photocopies of just 30 and 40 of them at a time where they was just grabbing it and giving it to the customer every day or the GC. And so there's things that we've had to fix over the years, and we've had many years of trying to get better here. And it is a valuable effort, and it is worth your time to go fix these processes where you have gaps. So we've been disrupting the pre-test safety plan at TD Industries for many years. We've had everything from just your common 3-column hazards, work steps, mitigation plans, to checklists, to electronic versions, to different apps and different softwares. But we've really been on our current journey since we started piloting in July of 2019. By July of 2020, we had around 1,100 users, and we were heading on this path towards better plans and better conversations. And so where that AI ties in is our quality scoring. And so these individuals that are doing these pre-task safety plan daily planning conversations, they video these. There's thousands of conversations. They are aggregated, they are transcribed, they are translated, they are scored by an AI system. And that's kind of like little AI we started to. It's funny too, is like when you think through our AI quality scoring and our safety processes over the years, we started out with more of a like little AI is what we would call it. And that was where the safety team at T&E, we took 2,000 of these daily plans, and we went and manually scored them on just a 1, 2, or 3, poor, good, or poor, adequate, and good. So we kind of early on did that. And what this 2,000 scoring opportunities allowed us to do was it would start aggregating some of the results of these plans that were being entered. Like one of my team had looked at it. So that had been pretty helpful as it's gone further. And the system's able to look much deeper into quality metrics. So we have quality metrics inside these pre-test safety plans, inside of observations. We have heat mapping. We have a lot of kind of almost like an embarrassment of riches right now of reporting that we can pull from these activities. And so this evolution, paper, digital PTSP, we started that small AI scoring. Then we moved into this daily planning conversation. And now we're into a piece with our pre-test safety plans where there's actually an AI assist feature in there. And so this evolution was pretty fun. So we started in January of 2020. We trained 600 users that turned into 1,100 users. We're capturing these daily planning conversations. And then we're really scoring 2 quality metrics. It was, we found early on too, is some people could write a really good or author a really good pre-test safety plan on the electronic device or on paper, but maybe they weren't very charismatic. They couldn't have a great conversation. And then we found the opposite. You had some pretty extroverted, kind of charismatic individuals that didn't have the most competent plans that were written. And so part of this AI assist feature that we've been about 1 year in, and we've done probably close to 100,000 of them, y'all might know, close to 100,000 AI assisted pre-test safety plans. What this allows us to do is the user can input what they're working on, the task. The more details you put, the better. You can generate a work plan from that. Let the large language model go do that for you. That large language model is it's a protected hub. It's a proprietary one. It's not part of this ChatGPT world. So it's locked down to really safety processes. Our safety manuals baked in there. OSHA's manuals are baked in there. So it really helps us to be pretty consistent about at least generating what we've always kind of wanted was this JHA starting point. So it's like a subject matter expert in your pocket to give you kind of a starting point on these daily plans and these pre-test safety planning tools. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So early on, we start scoring these, we start videoing these conversations, and we really did our first kind of like study at 20,000. So we get 20,000 of these daily plans, and we start creating feedback. We even took the top 15 field leaders in our North Texas region. We brought them in to really start pulling from them as like, how do you structure your day? What's the purpose of your pre-test safety plan? How do you approach it? We started finding, gold. One of the most interesting things, one of the foremen told us he really used that as an opportunity to just check everybody. He gets close to their face. He's looking at them. He's looking in the eyes. Look, see if they're even engaged. They switched on. Are they ready to start their day? Is everybody like they're in a good, healthy, happy spot? Every one of these dots on this graph you'll see, every one of them represents a conversation. So what this tool started doing with the AI is it's putting our conversations that are like in nature. So it's scoring them on these 7 elements you see out to the right side of the slide. And green is really your best conversations. Those are the ones that are really good in every category. Yellow is what I call the preachers. They're really good conversations, kind of they're one way, but they're good competency. They have a lot of scope. They talk a lot of hazards. They talk high hazards really well. They just don't have as much participation from others. And then from there, you kind of scale down to blue's got a little bit of issues with it, orange, and then your purple may be your worst based on what is scoring, looking for these metrics. It's pretty accurate, because as we start to go in there and start watching some of these, and I can dial this down to our whole company, I can dial this down to a business unit, a geography, a project, a person. And so what's really nice too is giving feedbacks on daily plans. You might see somebody give a daily plan one day and you're like, that was really poor. I want to intervene and give some feedback. Well, unless you've really kind of seen a grouping or multiple conversations that person has led, you can't give them the best feedback, because you might have caught their one-off where they were in the orange zone when they're typically in yellow or green. And so sometimes you're nailing somebody for something they're usually pretty good at. And so when you start dialing down to a person and you look at like a quarter or a half a year or a full year of performance, you start diving into where they really land normally for their quality of the daily planning conversation that they lead. So these can be very beneficial. We also found some interesting phenomenon, like there's a lot of improvement without intervention. Most people just self-improve. They also had the ability as a user, you could click a button, you could see here's each 7 quadrants, here's the whole pool of everybody in the company, and here's where you land on each one of the 7. Then if you're low in one of these categories, you can select that button. It's going to pop up 3 videos of your peers that are really good in that zone, so you can start seeing from your peers and learning from each other. And that improvement without intervention was really key. Conversation benchmarks were great too. It allowed us to do a couple things. We look at like problematic areas, geos, business units, individuals, but then we could kind of think through things in like 3 layers. You've got your top performers, and so we did a ton of recognition early on. We actually had kind of a preset program. We were given X number of gift cards out to top performers in this zone or this activity for many months. And it allows us to really thank that top third for being awesome performers. The middle, kind of steady eddies, it's like leave them alone. And then we can intentionally go help that bottom third be better, especially those that stay in that bottom third quadrant kind of repeatedly. It's really has helped the team but be much more intentional. But it's a program that really just requires you continue to push the gas on, because we're multiple years into this process, and we've had mixed success. We've had some places where we just blew it out of the water with better performance, but even where we had kind of mixed success with getting the whole group to move to a better zone, our overall conversation scores have made a large leap in quality this year, which is great. So that AI feature is pretty interesting. So as you go through into our safety app tool, you select your pre-test safety plan. I'd mentioned in there with that task description where this is really helpful for a couple of reasons. One, it can help you with your starting point kind of job hazard analysis or your subject matter expert pocket. Also, if you're performing a task that you're not normally super comfortable with, maybe we have some HVAC mechanics who are getting inside of a cooling tower where they suspect Legionnaire's disease could be present. Like that's something they're not familiar with. This will generate a great starting point for them. You can ask it something as complicated as give me a procedure for changing a fan belt inside of an air handler unit. It'll give you some really good detail there. But then there's some other awesome features inside of here. You can say, give this back to me in Spanish. Let me give it back to you in Spanish. You can say, give it back to me in an 8th grade reading level. You can give it to you at that as well. You also, once you generate your plan and you're looking through it, see how the quality is, see if it's missed anything that you want to add. You can also be like, I forgot, I'm working alone. It's over 100 degrees. Also entering a confined space. It'll just start adding elements to your plan that will help you with that document. So that's been, it's been really interesting. It really, it created, it's funny. Your pencil whippers will pencil whip worse. Your individuals who take your process really seriously will take your process even more seriously because they've got a better tool there. So it's been a fun experiment because we learned it's really successful in some areas. We had some areas where it wasn't as successful, but it's a heck of a journey. And we've done, we have a large study of this with the amount of volume that we've put out. But the ability to research a topic that you're not as familiar with there is very good. We also have a button on there where you can ask our safety manual question. So if you're a supervisor at our company, you say, what does it take to be qualified to operate one of our company insured vehicles? We'll spit that out for you. What's our safety footwear requirement for our construction jobs? To give you straight out of our manual. That's been a pretty cool feature as well. That was an additional and new. Do you have a question, comment? No. Let's see. I will tell you though, you can have some fun with this too. You can try to, like during our safety week event this year, we had partners try to challenge it, try to ask it stuff to try to confuse it or try to generate, see if it could generate a better plan than you. We've had some really good success. It's been a really powerful tool for generating some really good steps. But it's like anything, you got to be the more specific you are with your details, we input that, the better of quality output you'll get in your pretest safety plan. All right, so some of the field feedback, it does fill in the gaps, catches missed items, it really sped us up. And so earlier when I talked about, we had that $1.75 million worth of time we knew. So when we went electronic, we cut it in half that time. Then we added this feature, we cut that further than half. And so what we were doing was speeding up our ability to generate that starting point pre-task plan. Another great thing that this tool can do is inside of this description, when it spits it out, it'll also give you 2 or 3 questions that you can ask your crew or the individuals you're working with that'll help create some dialogue around a two-way conversation of the plan. Because that's what we really want, is the plan to not just be talk to the individuals. We want that daily plan to be kind of a two-way conversation about how to perform your task more safely. So filled in those gaps, caught those missed items, time and cost saver, multiple language translation, and very quick as well. Integrates into our current pretest safety planning process. We really didn't have to build a new tool. They just added the feature inside of our existing tool. It does spit out some very professional looking tools. So if you've got to create a procedure, you've got to create something for, we have to create something for a customer, some type of plan around confined space entry, LODO, et cetera. It gives you a really awesome starting point for that. And it complements critical thinking because it really does start to fill in the gaps. We've had some feedback that's been really good around, oh, I didn't think about X, Y, or Z that this plan or this tool generated for me to have the conversation with my team. So, all right, we used this. We did our daily planning conversation. We went on this journey. We learned a lot from the AI. And then I've been on this safety observation journey. I've had kind of love-hate relationship with safety observations for many years. And so I'll talk a little bit about, I call this my cautionary tale of an uninstalling of behavior-based safety. And so the reason I call it this is it really starts in 2010. So 2010, we start using the DuPont stop process in our manufacturing shop. It's peer-to-peer, it's paper card system. It actually works great. We had 3 years of just wild success with it. Didn't love some things. It's very manual. You basically have to have somebody that's taking those paper checklists. You have just a lot of administrative duty that's got to go with it in a lot of ways. And so, all right, we're churning through. We're doing DuPont stop. 2015, our core value gets installed. And 2016, we say, okay, we're going to take observations and we're going wide. So we created our own, we call it TSOT, TD Industry Safety Observation Training. We hired a consultant that used to work with DuPont. So he kind of made his own version of an observation program. But really what he had done was he took a peer-to-peer tool and put it where it was like a leader to field tool. And I think a lot of people did this around that time because software, mobile apps become much more phone friendly. And, you know, software companies are like, hey, I can kind of capitalize on this, but nobody quite figured it out yet. So 2016, we have 685 users that start doing observations. And immediately our safety results just get worse. We go on kind of this journey that is like steep and declining and fast. And so 2018, we call our paradigm shift because that's where we realize like timeout, when you have no accountability in your safety processes, you're going to have, and that's what it really turned into. We would do some surveying and partners were pretty open with us. Like, we know that if you don't follow safety processes, it is an anonymous conversation. There's no corrective action to it. And we lost all real process conformity. So timeout, paradigm shift, TD lets us fail fast. We decide how we're going to correct this. So we really started this safe prevention journey. We had our 2.0 version of our observation. So we still did safety observations. We focused more on at risk. We kept heavy accountability back in our safety processes. And really, that was kind of some magic there for us. And internally, we had 5 years in a row of just year over year better performance and wild performance. You know, between this and our safety and engagement journey, I'll show the recordable incident rate improvements later on. But it was really great. So the 2.0 version has really taken us through now. This year, we've adjusted to, we call it TSOT 3.0, and all we've really done is adjusted to some new buckets that we're tracking. Inside of that, we used to do more like free-form tracking around hazards and unsafe behaviors, but now we're looking into some buckets of, is it a subcontractor? Is it one of our own employees, temporary worker? We're looking inside of, we're also trying to change this safe versus at risk to an at-risk observation or recognition of safe work practices. So we're actually giving better recognition and feedback when people are doing things that they're supposed to be doing. And these new buckets are helping us to have new KPIs. It's also internally, what we want is what we call helpful safety observations. And so we're trying to get this paradigm around, if you're spending time to go out and intentionally show that you care about our core value and interact with our field partners, that you're going to go try to be helpful in doing so. You're going to find hazards and activities, things that help us be better, and not just pointing out the first thing you see when you leave your job trailer or your facility. Helpful safety observations. Yeah, partners, short service employees, subcontractors. Oh, we're also focusing on this SIF prevention or this sticky wheel right now, which has been good too. It's just another bucket. And so we took this sticky wheel concept, and what we've done is we've used our life critical safety processes, and we really try to do this because we're looking at which one of our life critical safety processes are we observing enough, which ones are we not observing enough, and then we're looking for precursors, amplifiers, things where we've got opportunity. We're really focused on, there's two types of incidents to go fix. It's this minor injury prevention and this more SIF prevention journey. We've got almost 8 years of data of SIF potential and SIF actuals, and then we've got this focus on this other side too of your strains, your sprains, your eye injuries, your lacerations. So we're kind of working these two different angles with the same safety process. The AI integration. So observation reports, we're looking at better observations. We're looking at quality of observations. Our app developer helped us create a model last year to where it's looking for a couple things. It looks for, are we observing high hazard activity? How frequently are we observing? What is the word count or the content of the observation? Does it include photos or not? We're looking at quite a few things inside of there to help us understand, are we using limited detail, lots of detail? Is it a sticky criteria? Is it non-sticky? It's starting to help us build these quality reports. And we created a concept called TAV. And so this is trust and ability and value. And so when you're looking at our heat mapping around our safety observations and those who perform them, these are just a business unit view, but we can look at people as well. And it's the observer themselves. They trust us enough as an organization to give us real feedback. Do they have the ability or the skills to go recognize a hazard, to go find things that matter? And do they value the process to do it consistently, to give you good detail, to add photos, to help create helpful observations? So this TAV journey, safety observation quality, has been it's been kind of a fun thing to tackle with our observation 3.0 journey. Is we focused on daily plans. We wanted to get quality. We want quality inspections. We want quality observations. But this is a unique tool. It's really unique. It's been unique to us originally. I'm sure some of his other clientele are using it now, but this was something that we helped create. And we're using this AI model to go do this. This has been, it's been a good journey. I think this is kind of the next step of us in our evolution for, better safety observations. The other way that we've integrated some AI processes into our safety observation is I went to our developer with a problem, and I said, sometimes we have green, like fresh out of school safety professionals. Sometimes we have new assistant project managers. Sometimes we have individuals from the office that may not be super familiar with what they're observing on the job site, but we need to help them. And so we use a similar model, that pre-test plan, and we've got the ability inside of our safety observation tool to put in the description of the task you're observing, and you'll hit generate text. Generate text, what does it say? Is it generate text? Enhanced text. So what we'll do, it will spit out a list. It'll say, this is 3 things that a senior safety professional may look for this task. And it helps those with little to no experience in what they're observing, the APMs, the new hires, helps them have better conversations, or at least have better questions of the crew that they're observing. This is another pretty nice ad that we've had. Observation wrap. Yeah, go ahead.
You give the observation to your team members, or you get the operational safety managers to also, carry out this?
Sure, that's a great question. Our app is set up like a feed. It looks like Facebook kind of. So like I follow the whole company, so I see everybody's activities. But if I do one for like a HVAC service team for Dallas, that team is the only one that sees that. So it goes to those HVAC crews, their supervisor, it's in their feed. It's to limit their we want them to be able to process. There's so much volume of activity, you can't really scale. But if we can limit it to your job site you're responsible for, your crew, your team, it can be much better. So yes, they're shared there. Now there are some things that we will share way wider depending on how, if it's something that has very high impact, yes, we can pull it out of here. We can email them. We've created training presentations. We've done a lot with it. Part of this, yes, ma'am.
I think were you also asking at what level we would have, like superintendent?
Yeah.
Yeah, basically field leaders through VPs are going to do safety observations. Yeah, and safety professionals, field supervisors are probably the lowest. But yeah, it's pretty much foreman and up, or like a lead technician and up would do it. So another thing that we have been playing with for about the last year as well in our latest version of our safety observation is we're doing some post-observation wrap-up videos. It's been with the safety staff right now. These are cool because they're creating little micro-learning opportunities. And then we also found that oftentimes there's a safety observation, like I have an example where I walk up on a crew, using a jackhammer, some concrete, dust going everywhere. Nobody's got any kind of silica protection. So our old version would be there's two plumbers working on the first floor PGA. They're not using any kind of dust collection tools. The hazards are based on they're not following table 1 of the silica standard. Okay. Well, now this goes a little deeper because what we found is most of our at-risk observations are either like a near miss opportunity for an investigation or a little bit of an opportunity to tell a narrative. So like in one of my scenarios here on that one, well, I have a dialogue with the partners on video, talk to them. It's like, well, this is the only thing we have here. So then I go research why. And it's like, okay, well, they ordered this dust collection box from our exchange warehouse over in Arlington. Somebody there missed putting in the full set of materials that was supposed to go to this job site. So it's like the tools and materials aren't there. And so in the past where it just looks like this job has an issue, it's like, oh no, the issue is 35 miles away where there was something else, but there was a story to tell. And then we're finding more with our observations too, is when we shoot these little brief videos, it can, like I said, you can use it for micro learning. We can use it inside of our LMS system. We can email them out. We can use better safety moments. There's just a lot of opportunities for this. I don't know where the future of this is going to go, but we've been doing quite a few inside of our team. I think this is kind of the next level for taking these observations, telling better stories. I think because most of our organizations right now, everybody's looking to learn quicker. How do we reduce button seat training? How do we get messages out faster? And then how do we reach this younger generation that's taking most of their information throughout the evening through tweets and through Snapchat and through TikTok and anything that's really condensed. And so this is a short way and a brief way to give a great story around some hazards that were discovered and mitigated. So those business impacts, go on this journey, we're doing all these fun processes, we're having a good time as a team, but this define, measure, analyze, implement, control as EHS team has been really good for us. It's been good for TD Industries. Our metrics improved. We had improved visibility of hazards, of safety processes, of our ability to use BI as a safety team. It really improved our EHS intentionality, how we strategically plan, and how we really just affect the business and all. Those business impacts. So I talked about earlier, I showed that 691,000, blah, blah, blah. So this is kind of just a short data summary. This is almost, we've added almost 100,000 processes since this was pulled a few months back. Yeah, total engagement all time, observations at risk. We look at risk percentages. So like for next year, we've got a target of 50% here. So we want to increase those at-risk percentages just because we want to use that activity intentionally to go out and find and fix hazards. And so some other things we look at in this business impact, we're kind of continuously looking at recordable incidents versus we look at a lot of things. We have so many reports in here that we use, and we look at everything from total incidents over time versus engagement, recordable incidents over time versus engagement. But really, since 2016, since we started on this core value, this observation journey, our total recordable incident rate has really jumped. Before then, we were even at a 2.9, so it's like 2.9, 2.5, 1.7, 1.4. We were like 1.0, 1.0, 2 years in a row, and then like to a 0.87. So we really did take these processes and go implement them in a real aggressive way, and we improved a lot. There's a lot of things that happened inside of our safety systems to improve there, but we grew as a company at the same time. We had a headcount with turnovers at times, but this was a really impressive piece of that safety engagement journey. And so when we continue to look at those business impacts, we're running heat maps on pre-planning, observations, inspections, everything holistically. We're also kind of continuously comparing our geographies and our lines of business, because we're continuously looking for like signs of a crack, fissure, some area of opportunity where we can go intervene quickly. We're looking for red flags that say, oh, this looks outside of norm of where it should look with its peers inside of our company. It allows us to be intentional to go address really those key performance indicators before they result in incidents, injuries, construction defects, etc. So the safety manual integration is really what's been next. We just recently, this has been something I think we'll continue to expand on. I think we'll actually port over some of our HR manuals as well. Anything that our partners have questions about that gives them the ability to go find it very quickly. That's been kind of an easy win. And it really was a tuck in because once we started doing the pre-plans and we started doing the AI integration into the observation, we really were starting to house this data there inside of this app anyways, inside of the language model. So adding the ability to go ask your safety manual questions was a pretty easy tuck in. There's an example. And so game on. This is the challenge. This is what I always tell everybody. If you ever have any interest in this, you're certainly welcome to reach out to me or anybody on my team. We can give you some more information on going to test, pilot any of these processes yourself. And anytime I've spoken on this topic, I always tell everybody, just if you take anything from it, go back and find one of your safety processes that's just broken, go work on it. If you get your team together, you start thinking outside the box, you start looking at different solutions, you can easily come up with a lot of different ways that you can improve. It's a good force multiplier. So when I think about the recommendations of it, so one thing I really liked about this tool that we used is there's about 3,000 people at our company, anywhere from 200 to 500 temps at any one day. We're scattered across many projects, lots of solo truck-based service happening. And then my team's about 22 total. And so for us to be able to scale, we have to have things that help us be more intentional, that help us be a force multiplier. We have safety professionals that are responsible for like truck-based service teams that are never in the same location twice. So this feed, for example, allows them to, one, hone in on that group they're responsible for every day. They can look at everybody's pre-test safety plans. They can look at observations related to that crew for that week. They can look at inspections that have been completed, work permits. Really helps us identify some risk and really where we need to go spend our time and not waste our time hitting job sites or crews that are doing low hazard activity. We really focus on scope and daily planning conversations. So out of those 20,000 conversations we scored and all these different metrics and really all the dialogue these partners were having, we found two things. Those leaders that talk about scope the best and the most often have the best daily planning conversations. Their crews have the best outcomes. And it really makes sense that those that are the most competent really rise to the top. We also started seeing some things when you look at just kind of succession planning, identifying high potential like lead roles that are really ready to make a jump to foreman or to a superintendent, is those that take these safety safety processes more seriously are usually those that are going to perform much better. Also tend to be the ones that talk the best about scope and have the most competency in their task and their work in general. Challenge the status quo. Same, like we first started looking at this and we started thinking through these processes, was told really early on, these guys are not going to video these daily planning conversations. They're going to push back. Nobody's going to use an AI tool, blah, blah, blah. It's like, now that we're over 700,000 of these have been collected, it's like, yeah, they will. It just takes the right type of attitude as a safety leader to go out and train and engage. And really, we had some wild success with it. And we actually had kind of a wrench thrown in it right away because we launched in January of 2020. Does anybody remember what happened in January 2020? So in some ways it was like that really hindered us because we're doing a lot of training on video, but then it kind of helped us too because with video PTSPs, we had people, we could get people away from each other so we could meet all these protocols we been asked to do. But in a lot of ways, it's like it really hit us at the perfect time because it allowed us to do a lot of things electronically. But then we also, it was like being kicked right in the shin right when we started out of the gate because our launch day was like right when everything was getting weird. So, but we challenged the status quo, we got our engagement rolling, we had a blast doing it. Here's the name of the company that created the software that we use. If you're interested, you can go look at Smart Target's application. The company is actually called Factor Lab, but they own several different technologies. The individual's name is Barry Nelson that leads this. He also is the one that created Predictive Solutions years ago. It was his first company. And DBO2 before that, it was like the first safety software on like a Palm Pilot in the early 2000s. But he's a super dude. He's really helped us be better as a team and as a company. He's really helped me be a better safety leader. And really, my team at TD is really one of the best with using like BI reporting because we've been so we're like 5 years into this. We just kind of live in it. But it's been really great for us. So thanks for the time. Thanks for inviting me to be here. Any questions, comments, concerns?
How should we get this conversation started with our developers?
That's interesting. I think it's probably one, you identify your problem. You want to go fix observations, you want to fix inspections, you want to fix data planning conversations.
Well, integrating the AI into
solutions?
the chat.
Sure.
I mean, I don't want to call it chat GPT. The
Yeah,
language-based
large language
model.
model. Yeah.
How do we start that conversation with integrating the language-based model?
Sure. I think it's first, you need the problem you're trying to solve. So like with us, we have experienced construction professionals leaving the industry every day. We have a younger workforce, we have turnover, and we need to be able to flip that faster and support those that did not have that subject matter expert there available. And so like for the pre-test safety planning, the AI development side, it's really easy for us to say, all right, we've always wanted a JHA library. It's really hard to scale with the amount of trades, the type of work we do, the amount of people we're having to train. But this was kind of our starting point. So I didn't have much pushback there. So I don't know if I answered your question, but I took a stab at it. Yes.
Go ahead.
Oh, did I stab you?
No, I said.
Yeah, funny.
Sorry.
She got the joke.
So the paradigm shift that you had, does that have anything to do with the digital knowledge and that we seem to have now with older people getting out of the workforce and younger people coming in and being able to.
That's a really good.
Can you repeat the question for the folks?
I don't know if I can, but I think what you said was, does the paradigm shift have anything to do with
Digital
digital audience related to older workers
Yeah.
and younger workers? Okay. It's a fantastic question. Our internal paradigm shift was around one, we were starting to measure a process we didn't measure in the past. So we could see, we had kind of insights into KPIs. And so we saw we were slipping in our safety metrics. We need to turn it around fast. Now to get that paradigm shift, I did a couple of things. I met Kristen Bell. She's part of the Kraus Bell group. She's a co-author of a book called 7 Insights to Safety Leadership. I saw her at an ASSP conference in New Orleans years ago. Loved her presentation. It spoke to me. Little book. If you haven't read it, go read it. It's like $30. It's like 2-hour read. It's fantastic. I bought one of those for everyone of our leadership council. So like top 100 at TD, everybody read that book. Really was kind of foundation for like, I need to do this SIF prevention journey. I need to put some teeth on our observations. I don't mean like teeth, but like we had to have some accountability. So the paradigm shift I was talking about is that. Now, as far as like us embracing technology, we haven't really seen like, we don't really get like any type of age group work that rejects using the safety app. We have to use, because like if you're a chart-based service technician, TD, you have to use XOI to your work order. You have to do all this software. So we're constantly on our phones doing this activity. So we didn't have the resistance there. The resistance there I found from like generational problems, I guess you'd say, is Some were like, well, I don't want to be on camera. I'm like, all right, let's get your audio, video the floor. I don't care. As long as the system can hear you, it can transcribe and do the conversation. So like we would accommodate in those cases, but some are less likely to put their photo on there. When we integrated AI, we had some people like, I'm not letting AI get into my life. Like we had some interesting things like that occur, but I don't know that it was like, you got a question? You stretching?
Well, comment. I think we had a lot of training with certain individuals, and it wasn't necessarily due to age, but I think just the in-person training and like being with them with the phone was really important to it. So they could walk through it with you, and which is interesting because you're training someone how to do something on a phone where it's like, I could do that through technology, but being there in person with them to leverage technology, I think is really important. So I think that's
Fantastic point. I'm glad you said that. So in 2020, we tried to do this LMS training. So we sent 636 users this 8-minute video, how to use this software. I actually measured it because we went back and tracked the retraining. I measured who we tracked on when we went back into the conversation. We think we did somewhere between 12.5% to 15% that we had to do a second touch with. But for the most point, the majority of everybody, they see it once. If you've used any type of social media before, you can function on the app. And what we learned over time too, early on, we were doing these big campaigns. Every time we did add a process, we would train everybody. We would do this 15-minute video, or we'd bring people in. We just started making changes without telling people. So if we wanted to change a question, we just kind of took a lead from what social media companies do. They just upgrade your whole system. They don't tell you, just upgrade it. Your app upgrades overnight, boom. And so we just started, we want to add a question or put a new feature in, we just add it. And then we would train over time. We're like, hey, you have a new feature. It's in there. Open it up. Oh, I didn't know it was here. It's like some would start using it immediately. They just see it and start using it, which is interesting phenomenon as well.
Does any part of your development stack do API calls to OpenAI?
I believe the way FactorLab is set up, it never leaves his large language model, the way I understand it.
Okay.
For like, I think it's about the quality of what he wants to come out of it.
Yeah.
When you were presenting, you said initially you guys were looking at 4 areas. Over time, has that increased to other areas of safety management?
It has. It's turned into too many. We have a lot now. Yeah, we started with that 4 foundational safety processes, but then we added some other stuff. So we wanted to do like a 6S checklist. It was in there. And we wanted to add more permitting. We put it in there. And we wanted to add we actually had COVID checklists in there early in 2020, So we were doing like, if we wanted to hide a checklist, we could do a checklist for like trace tracking. It could be hidden and come back feed to somebody's email inbox. We did a lot of stuff inside of there. But yeah, it's grown over time. So what am I missing? We're doing some other. Oh yeah, we do work through plan assessments. That's another one where a supervisor can check somebody's daily plan, their work activity, and look for quality, look that they marry up or line up correctly together. That's part of it in there as well.
We may have a chat quiz.
I hope it's just an insult or something funny.
It's not anything.
Okay. Helen?
I keep seeing the little dot.
All right.
We're good.
You're good. What else?
I'm sorry, are you planning on doing anything with regard to people wellness or like psychosocial
Oh, that
safety?
great question. So really outside of this app, internally, we do impact interviews. So over the last couple of years, we've taken individuals that have had some incidents, and then I'll do like a 2-way interview with them. We'll have a video or audio recording as well. I've done podcast style ones as well. Next year, I've got it in my hopper to do some of those same impact interviews with individuals who've had extreme weight loss. They've had some type of heart attack or some type of medical emergency where they want to share a story. They've had some type of personal event that's impacted their life. They want to help others. Financial advice. Yeah, like we're going to do some of that next year, but it's kind of outside of the app. So
Sometimes I have conversations about, and I'm asked why metrics are so important.
Mhm.
And my go-to answer is so that I can make data-driven decisions. I think it's all really simple for us, like wear your PPE and bad things
are not gonna happen, or they'll at least be mitigated. But my question for you is, what's your perspective on someone who is approaching it from that angle, approaching it from the angle of, well, why are we spending so much time on metrics and not time on doing things in the field?
Sure, that's a great question. It'd be a good challenge. So we do the same thing, data-driven decisions. We do tons of measuring. I can pull like our instead of our incident BI platform, I can show you where we've made some organizational decisions, and you can trend right off of it. And you can see where it's correlating. You can correlate total volume of engagement to incidents as well. But ours is a little bit of both. So my team is very field facing. I'm even very field facing. I do a lot of safety observation, even myself. And we have to do a little bit of both. And I think it has to be competent on field, at the work site, at the location, closest to where the work is happening. Yes, you have to have a big safety engagement program that is there. And then on the other side of it, you still have to do both. That's the way I think so.
But like, how can I make a better argument to the people asking me, well, why are metrics important? Because they believe in that.
Sure.
The forward,
Yeah, only the
being on
forward
front
facing.
line
Okay.
and being there in person and having that part of the safety program.
Sure.
But sometimes I have conversations where people are a little more doubtful about why you're running
Sure.
statistics and why you're putting together visualizations and things of that nature.
Culturally, that's an interesting one. You're gonna have to work on your messaging and influence around. If you can't measure it, you can't improve it.
For large corporations, definitely not an issue for the cost, but for medium to small type companies that are out there, is this cost prohibitive, or?
You can make this probably as cheap or as expensive if you wanted to. So we do a lot of stuff outside of it. So I have like a whole incident suite in there and stuff that's not, so like I have a bunch of stuff added on that you wouldn't need to do. But yeah, if you wanted to go start and have your basic reporting, have some really powerful stuff there, it's going to be a per user cost. So a small company is it's going to scale. So yeah, they're not on the expensive end of software. Yeah.
Yes, I think at the very beginning you mentioned new KPIs. So how is all this data driven? You've talked about SIFs, you've talked about the stick wheel. How has this driven the last 5 years, 4 years?
Yep.
And then how will it drive the next 5?
So the next 5 is even tougher because we had the 5 years of improvement. You can actually see even our SIF potential metrics are dropping every year over year. And so we've had some ebb and flow. Like we had some years where we were kind of trailed up in like eye injuries with like piping crews. Like that's kind of this year's problem. And so it hasn't been a perfect solution for everything, but over time we've had a major metric drop to where now we went from being in this 2.3 OSHA reportable rate to like we hover in this 0.87 to 1, just kind of right in there almost at all times. Our severities went down, our claims costs went down, our duty days are down, our lost time days are down. There's a lot of things that are first aids are actually up a little bit, but getting this really 2019 to now was the easiest part. It's like go install it. We're seeing all the fun. We're doing all this great stuff. We're staying energized and building out that next 5 years. I think it's this plus. I think fixing these observations next year, we really got to focus on better construction inspections because we still have some opportunity there. So we're still using that data to drive what we do going forward. But it's really, we're honing it more into like, here's 3 SIF precursors now that we just know we got to be way better at next year. So it's like some teams have 2 things to focus on, which is way different. In the past, we might be like, hey, work on these life critical safety processes. Now it's like, hey, HVAC crew, there's 2 things you got to work on next year because you're just really struggling there. So
it's more of a tweaking than
it's calibration. Yeah, it's calibration over time. But
You're at a plateau. You're talking about a plateau, and that's what I wanted to ask you about. How do you break that plateau?
Well, that's
near misses,
sure.
And how do we extract all the near misses? How do we extract all the first aid possibly from there, and then investigate those and go even further down the pyramid, or what is it?
Yeah, I have some thoughts. I think post shift inspections of your plan, where was your plan good for that day, or like a plus delta at the end of the day might be a place to start. We're actually going to be using a different tool next year for root cause analysis and quicker lesson learned sharing, because even with like minor incidents, like we had one time this year where a minor incident happened on a Tuesday, and before we could It's like Tuesday night, we leave the clinic. Wednesday morning, we start building our lesson learned. To our investigation team, Thursday morning, the same thing happens again on a different location because we couldn't share the lesson faster. So quicker lesson sharing, plus deltas at the end of the day, I think could be helpful. And then again, by giving specifics to business groups and lines of business, like you have to watch out for these 3 things. We really, or even challenging a group, like we're challenging one team right now is like no eye injuries next year, 0, and preventable ones. And we're looking around these 2 activities where goggles plus a face shield is required. It's like you've got to be 100% accountable to those 2. So trying to be accountable in some spots, creative in some spots, and then some of it's just trying because we're just trying stuff. Yeah, good question.
Just to add to that, something that I've seen, add value to past when you are this kind of play too is to, for instance, when you do the observations, the result from that shouldn't just be the punitive side of, oh, I saw you do this wrong. It could also be on the other side, positive, reinforcement.
Sure.
Of what people are doing right. To say, hey, I saw you, carry out this task, and everything was, spot on. Had your PPEs and everything, and research has also shown that by doing that, that helps people to like imbibe those culture that is going to help you drive those numbers down further.
Sure, we do recognition. We do safety champions. We're thanking people often inside of that. We did have an operational leader who grabbed me like 2 days ago. He actually wants to create a reward system for the front line to self-report hazards that they found and create kind of a challenge. It's like you report something, we correct it. It was a legitimate hazard. It's like, boom, here's your reward, your incentive for it. So I like that idea as well. So there's so many things. We're like in strategy planning time right now. So like my wheels are doing this constantly. Yes, ma'am.
So on incentivizing people to do the right thing, when do you have people, do you encourage friendly competition between teams? And with incident reporting, if you're doing that, how do you ensure that people aren't under-reporting?
Oh gosh, I think nobody solved the underreporting piece. I will tell you, our reporting of incidents is increasing year over year, but our severity staying down, our mod duties going lower. I think we're building better credibility and trust in the last 5 years, just from our reporting is like double this year of what it normally is. And even with those increases, we've stayed flat with metrics. So I think we've created our anonymous reporting. We've had some of that. Our near miss reporting has been pretty good. I don't know.
Do you think any of your AI tools have contributed to that increase in reporting? Like, is it easier for users or more user friendly?
No, but I think the safety engagement journey has increased it because we talk about it often. And I had a 26-year HVAC service tech call me last week, and he was talking to me about our core values. And he was saying that when you look across our company, we show up best with our safety core value. And I think that's just really a testament to my team and what we've really built a lot of credibility over the last couple of years. I don't think it has anything to do with the AI tool, but I think just the safety engagement. Here's another example. So we do surveys every year. We use this tool called Glint. So when you look at what our organization says, the most frequent and the best and most consistent communication they get from our whole organization says the EHS team. So we are kind of the field and the bridge between the office and the job sites. And I think we've done a really nice job over that time creating really a culture where you can report stuff.
It's kind of going on the same vein, and I just haven't gotten past this mental thing that the videos on the daily planning or the observations, and please correct me if I'm misinterpreting that part. But I'm seeing potential conflict if I'm trying to apply this at our sites.
Sure.
You're trying to build trust, you're trying to increase engagement, and then you have a camera. And then you're trying to increase accountability.
Sure.
What specific problems did y'all encounter during that kind of mix?
Sure.
And what suggestions would you have?
Well, we were really good about, you don't want to be on camera, video your floor, video your partners, hold it right here. We just need to hear you. We need the audio more than the video, right? So the video was not necessarily the biggest concern for us. We just want to be able to hear the individuals. We're on year 4 of cameras inside of our fleet vehicles. So that was, early on too, we're like, we heard these drivers aren't gonna drive with cameras. It's like, yeah, nobody quit. We've actually had a wild improvement in driving and fleet avoidable incident rate. So we've had a lot of improvement there. And so I think, just like anything, if we had just said, nope, you've got to be on camera, yeah, I think we could have eroded trust. But whenever somebody says, I want to be on camera, all right, video your feet. I just need to hear you. Put the phone up here so I can hear the audio. And then we also, like, when you have 20,000 videos or 400,000 plans, a person's not watching those, a machine's scoring it. And so I think a lot of it was just about being transparent there. So, but you'll still have your small percentage of knuckleheads that are just like going to be kind of defiant about it. But we've been pretty successful.
Your phone's watching and listening to you anyway.
It is 100%.
Is it going on their servers or Apple servers or Samsung servers? It's going on someone's server. So.
Absolutely.
I was able to convince one of our techs who been in the industry longer than I was alive. He's like, no, absolutely not. I will not record this. I will not go on there. And so the message was, hey, because he loves safety. He loves teaching people how to do things safe. He was an electrician. He was very detailed. And I said, hey, we're just trying to capture all the knowledge that's in your head. We're putting it on the paper. And so the techs that are behind you, they can go and find these videos and we can build this out and they can go, they can go watch it. So if you're not here at work, they can go watch, well, how do you go change this breaker? How do I do that? And so he did it and he actually won one of the contests within that group. That was one of the best conversations in there. So.
Some of these softwares too now using that video and an AI bot to like look for hazards. So where I think the future of it's going to is like a video walk down of like an excavation for a competent person that can help them determine like soil classifications and sloping, whether a slope or a trench or a shore or shield is perfect. Like that type of stuff I think is what's coming next and where I could see a further application.
You mentioned that so leads, certain levels are doing these and animating these. Are you seeing this going down to the actual worker and using the tool worker to worker observation on bringing the next generation up to the knowledge so that they can become themselves safety professionals and become leaders? What are your roadblocks or what do you predict could happen with this with mass distribution?
So right now, foreman and above is where we use it in like construction, for example, because that's where we supply phones. Now, lead roles, if a lead person is supplied a TD device, they would be required to do so, or like building technicians, facilities, or like service technicians. But you're on to something. So like I've in this journey and observing all these videos and going, like I like to go to the job sites and watch these daily plans too. And what I've seen is there's this group daily plan that happens, and then the journeyman breaks out with his helpers, and then he's like, grab this and we're going to do this. It's like that's really kind of where the pre-task is actually happening, is further downstream. So yeah, there is the next level to it. We haven't resolved that yet, but I think it's going to go down one more step, because at the foreman it's a feeder to a superintendent, which is like a feeder position for us. We're going to do the same thing for the lead role. And then we have some jobs that won't let us video because they're got, some type of like, they have some kind of atmosphere where we can't take, or they've got some type of product where we can't take phones in. So we have some of that. So even with us doing these hundreds of thousands electronically, we still have some paper ones floating around. We still have some of that, some other books. Yes. 3,000. Well, 2,762, and then about 300 to 500 tips any one day. Yeah. What else?
Do you find that there is a difference between how the temps are receiving the information versus the full time? Do you find that?
No, we have.
For the person is significant. You already asked about that age group, but
Sure.
do you find that this is creating a bank of knowledge, like we mentioned, with a technician that had, more years of experience than you were on this earth? And you find that that's becoming a library of knowledge?
Yeah, yes to all that. So like, so with our temporary workforce, we assimilate them directly with our partners. They get identical training, they get treated identical pre-planning. There's no difference on the age groups as far as like interacting with the tool. I will tell you, our younger partners that use their phones more often, they do, their engagement's higher with the amount or volume that they're entering. Some of those folks are doing like multiple processes per day. They're kind of in the feed a lot, which is fine. They engage with it more. I think that's really important. And then your third part of that question was what?
Was the bank?
Oh, Bank of Knowledge. Yes. So we are creating micro learning out there. We're also learning. We actually find stuff in there sometimes the feed that just would have got swept under rugs at risk observation that we go out and do like a root cause on because it's a significant near miss. We stumbled upon that. It's been a great window into competency gaps or even job sites that had some really significant hazards that needed intervention with on-site safety professionals. But as far as like the knowledge bank, it's kind of here and there. We have some at-risk observation videos, and over time, I go in and I hashtag them so we might find them. So yeah, we can use them for training later on. So yes, it is creating that.
Huge amount of data.
It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. What else?
Imagine if this room was full, dude.
I know. It's kind of fun. I was a little concerned about this empty space in the middle early. I'm like, talk to you guys, and I talk to you guys. I'm like, I see you guys all the time. I look back over here, nothing in the middle, people here.
I could go on forever.
That's,
I'm respectful of this time.
we may want him as our key speaker at our PDC next
Oh
year.
my Lord.
Jamie,
Thank you very much.
yeah, as you can see, this is a never ending question.
Appreciate it. Yeah, it was fun.
By far, since I've been part of these, this is one of the best presentations and topics that we've seen. So
Cool.
we appreciate that.
Invite.
So everybody, they're okay with the questions or because I know Jamie can be here up here for hours. Anything else? No. Any questions from online?
No, they're just saying nice things. There's complimentary.
Well, I guess that's it.
All right.
Thank you for
Thanks,
attending.
everybody.
Thank Jamie.
Everybody.
Thanks.
We'll see you
We'll be
next
in
time.
contact, sir. We'll
Yeah, sounds
probably
good.
ask you to.
Yeah.
to
You
be-
know,
Oh, yes, group photo. Thank you, Greg, because we always forget
Lean will love you.
that.
He and I have been in presentation like Texo, we